I was ghosted for a week. They asked for more time. I was ghosted for a couple more weeks. And then, sorry, you were a really, really good candidate, but we couldn't see your code was up to snuff with our other data engineers. It happened. It really did happen. Today I'm going to talk about how I took over 30 hours on a take-home assignment, and then after moving through 3 different rounds of the interview, I couldn't pass it. How's it going, guys? If you have watched any of my videos before, you'll know that this channel is about hacking your growth and getting a 6-figure salary in some sort of technical field as soon as you can. But also it's about managing your finances and making sure you learn from your mistakes. That's why my name is Andrew and this is Professor Meatball. He is a PhD doctorate from the University of Cornell. Today, I'm going to talk about how I flunked my Coinbase interview process. It's a long and winding story with a lot of plot twists and interesting takeaways, and at the end, you're going to answer questions like, how can I avoid Andrew's stupid dummy dumb mistakes? How can I also practice for take-homes in the safety of my own home, and how do I smash the like button and the subscribe button if I'm new? Because I appreciate Andrew's work and I want to be able to learn as much as I can by keeping up and staying up to date, which includes clicking that bell button when it comes up. In the beginning of the journey, I had the opportunity to choose between 2 different paths. I had the opportunity to choose between a data science path and a data engineering path. And the questions that I had to answer were, how much do I like the team? How much do I like the functions of each of the roles? And how much do I think I have relevant experiences for either one? Coinbase is a medium-sized company, so data scientists had the run-of-the-mill for the kinds of visualizations and analytical processes that they needed to take care of. But there wasn't a lot of scripting. There wasn't as much scripting as I wanted, and there wasn't the same engineering workflow that I've come to be accustomed to at other data science organizations. So I asked the recruiter about the data engineering position as well, and this was a team that I really connected with. I really loved talking to the manager of the data engineering team. In fact, I liked talking to him so much that I ended up going down all the way to San Francisco. If it's not clear, I'm geographically 2 hours away from San Francisco when there's bad traffic. So it was a labor of love to go down to a coffee shop near the manager's workplace and have a coffee with him. And it was cool. We had conversations about slice of life. We had conversations about what we would do on the actual job, but we also had conversations about our own aspirations and passions and the kinds of activities that we get into when we're out of work. So I got to know him on a personal level. In order to have had the opportunity to talk to the manager directly, I had to pass the first round interview. So a couple of things to note about that interview. It's going to be a lot of formality. It's going to be about how much work have you done in this specific organization, industry level or product level, or some type of star format question that you have to formulate in the top of mind. Now, the best way to prepare for these kind of interview questions is to have 3 or 4 specific situations that you want to talk about in the star format. So remember, it's always situation, task, action, and result. Make sure to talk fluently about the situation as if you were the person who was driving the action. Talk about the metrics you were able to drive and talk about how you're able to work with cross-functional roles around the topic of the main mission that you all had in common. If you were the agent of change in this organization or this project, all the better to you. If you don't have a lot of experiences like this, it's a good time to get some projects under your belt that exemplify the kind of behavior that we're looking for. If you guys are wondering about what kind of projects would make sense to put in a resume, then please drop a comment down below so that I can talk more about it later. So I passed the first round interview, I passed the optional coffee date with the manager that I opted in for, and then came the take home. And that's the most important part, is because take homes, in my opinion,
are the devil.
They are very unfair when it comes to the amount of time that you have to put in as well as their time grading it. Imagine a teacher that knows the answers and can go off a Scantron 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Right? That's a scaled process where all educational foundations are built off of. But it's less fair when it comes to a process of trying to pass an interview. You see, you have to put in a couple of hours. In fact, I have a special rule for how many hours you should put into each of these interviews. I'm going to answer the question that Rosa G asked in the comments here. Hey guys, so I was contacted by someone through LinkedIn asking me to complete a data science challenge for an internship I applied to. However, the company seems fishy to me. They only have one employee on LinkedIn and it is the person who sent me the task. I'm not sure if I should even spend my time on this given that I'm not confident this company is real. I have no idea why anyone would pretend to have a company and send challenges to people though. Lol. Rosa, you have a good reason to lol because this is an important topic. How can you tell how much time you should spend on a take-home assignment? How much clout should you put into each of these roles when you're considering how much time should I put into them? Well, here is my rule of thumb. Think about how much you want to work for this company from a scale of 1 to 10. All right? Double it, and that's the maximum number of hours you should spend on the take-home. If you end up spending up to that amount and you've capped out and you still haven't finished it, then you send it off with a message that says, this take-home was actually not industry standard. I am experienced in my field and it took me more than X, Y, and Z hours to finish this. It means that you are trying to deliver a take-home that is disproportionately time-consuming for my other opportunities that I have to pursue in the job search process. This will separate the earnestly well-intentioned companies who are just trying to modulate their experience and set off the most appropriately reasonable process as possible with the scam companies that clearly don't give two flips about whether or not you complete it. They're looking for some free data science, engineering, or other type of work from you. And then you'll be providing it for gratis, and then they will give you your rejection at the end of the process anyway. For Rosa's specific situation, it sounds like she is concerned whether or not this company is valid at all, in which case you have to then ask yourself, if you care less than 1 out of a scale of 1 to 10 to work on this company because you're afraid that they might not be legitimate, then it really might not be worth spending any time on this take-home. However, if you're somewhere between the 1 to 4 range of caring not so much about this company, but maybe just enough to try and give it a chance, then it could be worth spending up to a few hours putting time practicing your craft and seeing someone else grade it for free. There you go. We often take grading for granted because we've all been through high school, we've been through college, most of us, we've been through graduate school, some of us, where all of these proctors and graders are telling us yes, no, yes, no. When in adult life, we don't have graders so much as we have bosses who are always leering over our work and making sure that it's up to their standards. It's not so much testing whether or not we understand a specific concept. It's just whether or not something is done. That's why it's so important to be able to work with graders to understand where you are lacking in terms of the experience that you are trying to exemplify. So, what was this take-home that took me 30 hours to complete? It was a JSON file of data that I had to manipulate with pandas and build a model with scikit-learn and then connect to a SQL Alchemy database that I had to create myself. That sounds tricky, but at the end of the day, it was just time consuming. It was data that had errors on purpose. It was data that I had to manually cram into the data pipeline that I was trying to build. And at the end of the day, I had to also come up with a creative model that I regressed on the data in order to predict something. And there was actually not any more framing on top of that question. So what was that something supposed to be? Well, I chose an ensemble model that regressed on a secondary metric. So I wanted to be clever or sneaky, or at the very least, I wanted to be something that was unique in order to prove my candidacy, right? I understand the question enough that I wanted to be able to say, do a project that was nonlinear and it was custom. After spending somewhere around 15-ish, 20 hours on the process, I turned in my work and I got back from my nice coffee date man that the work needed some improvements. So he said, with no feedback, how about you try again? And that was hard to hear, but I wanted to do my best. So I put another 10 hours in. That's a day and a half, more or less, of work into this project. I changed up how I tuned the hyperparameters. I looked into my EDA process and see where am I supposed to do the fine tuning here or do the fine tuning here. And all of that afterwards, I got the rejection. It didn't happen all at once. I was ghosted for a week. They asked for more time. I was ghosted for a couple more weeks. And then, sorry, you were a really, really good candidate, but we couldn't see your code was up to snuff with our other data engineers. I get it. I understand. I'm not an engineer by trade. I'm a data scientist. Joma has made plenty of jokes about how we are not able to reverse linked lists. But this take-home spoke to me. It was something that I really understood and something that I really felt like I could pass. Sometimes it doesn't work out, right? Especially when you make a human connection with a company, it can feel really bad, especially since I also believed in the product and I really wanted to work on the problems that they had coming up in the future. All that said, I am in the crypto space now. I am working on blockchain. I am a data scientist still. At the end of the day, you have to remember that you are trying to build something for yourself. So these take-homes, yeah, they can be a chore. They can be unfair homework, but they're still able to help you grow in a way that training theoretically and building projects with toy data don't have the same ability to prepare you for. If anything, give take-homes a chance as much as I dislike them. And that's saying something for me. If you like this video, I would really appreciate a like. It helps the algorithm. It's not for me, you know. I like seeing likes, but it's really for more people to see this content just like yourself. And hitting that subscribe button will probably help, but you're probably subscribed already. As always, I put a trivia question at the end of each of these videos, and today is no exception. I wanted to ask you, well, what is the difference between MySQL, SQL Server, and PostgreSQL? Leave your comments down below and I'll pick a right answer out of them to give a free consultation to, data science or otherwise. For now, but not for forever, I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you later. Peace. It took me more than X, Y, and Z hours to finish this. It means that you are trying to deliver a take-home that is disproportionately time-consuming for my other opportunities that I have to pursue in the job search